Over the next 60 days, you're going to change your life. The Whole Body Health Formula is an ancient methodology of healing yourself. It was first created by Hippocrates, and it's been passed down to all the greatest scientists and physicians throughout history. It was passed down to me by my father, Dr. Douglas Weeks, who's a fifth-generation medical doctor, and who left medicine because he realized that they were no longer practicing the methodology of healing that's been known throughout history. So the first step, let's just jump right in, is to quit sugar. So let me explain to you basically the macronutrients. There's three macronutrients. There's protein, there's fat, and there's carbohydrates. And what scientists have realized is that most of our energy comes from either carbohydrates or fat. Protein is basically consumed just to rebuild our bodies. So when we consume carbohydrates or fat, the more that we consume of either one of those, the more our body tends to run off of that fuel source. And what we're finding through testing and through data is that most Americans are running off a majority of carbohydrates. You see, carbohydrates consumption and utilization by the body is an extremely inefficient process. And so the more we can convert you to burning fat for energy, the more we can stabilize your blood sugar and get your body's metabolism to start working again. Our ancestors would typically go off of sugar completely throughout the entire wintertime. And traditional people would eat mostly protein and fat throughout the entire winter. This period is called ketosis. Ketosis is a period where your body goes back to burning your own fat. I recently read a research project from the University of California that showed that periods of fasting from sugar, activates the stem cells' ability in our body to regenerate. This is huge. And so the first step is a 21-day fast from sugar. These 21 days will reveal more to you than you've probably ever known about your health. The fact is, most of us have some kind of symptoms. We're living with feeling of bloating or aches or pains, or we're having more inflammation in a part of our body. Some of us have more anxiety. Some of us can't sleep through the night. And what scientists and doctors have realized, and this has been said over and over and over again by many, many famous doctors, is that you need to go off sugar. You need to go off a fast from sugar. In fact, the first person who ever talked about this 21-day period of going off sugar, it was Daniel. In the Bible, he went on the famous 21-day sugar, not just sugar, but he went on the 21-day Daniel fast, which is basically giving up all refined, sweet pastries and the rich foods. And so this is what we're going to do. And over the next 21 days, we're going to cut out all carbohydrates, and we're going to see what happens. It's amazing. For so many of our patients, we find that so many chronic conditions that they've been struggling with for years just simply melt away over the first 21 days. And so in this video, what I want to do is help you understand why this is so important, why we go through this 21-day period, and then I'll start to talk about after that. But next week, we'll go more into a lot of the next steps. This week, I simply want you to begin to cut out carbohydrates. Attached to this video, we're going to send you what's called the Phase 1 diet, the diet that you're going to follow over the next 21 days. We're going to show you the foods you can eat, the foods you can't eat. We're also going to give you recipes so you know exactly how to do it. And so over the next 21 days, what we need to do is we need to talk about what are the refined sugars that we need to get out of the diet and why we need to do it. The first and most important reason that we need to get sugar out of our diet for 21 days is sugar is an anti-nutrient. What I mean by this is literally when we consume sugar, it pulls nutrition, it pulls fat-soluble vitamins, it pulls our health reserves out to buffer that sugar. You may have seen me say this in other videos, but if you were to take a can of Coke and you were to pour it in 5 gallons of water, the pH of that water would go from 7.2 to 4.6 immediately. Sugar is this extremely acidic thing, and the only way our bodies can buffer that extreme acid is by giving up our nutrient and mineral reserves. This is one of the reasons why so many people have so many chronic disease. In fact, the discoverer of vitamin C once said, all human disease is created by mineral deficiencies caused by too much sugar in the diet. So the first reason we're giving up sugar is because it causes a depletion of our nutrient and our health reserves. And so over 21 days, what we find is that all of a sudden when we quit stealing from our health reserves, so many things can recover so rapidly. The second reason why we need to give up sugar is because it's very difficult for our bodies to burn sugar efficiently. In fact, sugar is super inefficient. And so I'm going to give you a little chemistry here, and I'm going to try to simplify it. But every time we consume a molecule of glucose, or anything that ends in O's, fructose, lactose, dextrose, sugar, we get 4 units of energy, called ATP, for every molecule of sugar. But it actually requires our bodies to give up 2 units of energy just to burn that sugar. So we're only netting 2 units of energy for every molecule of sugar. When we burn fat for fuel, it depends on how long the fat is, but on average, a fatty acid molecule gives us 129 units of energy for every molecule of fat. The longer fats, like saturated fat, like coconut oil and butter, actually give us 169 units of energy for every molecule of fatty acid. So in a way, fat is 80 times more efficient in giving us energy than eating sugar. And when we consume sugar, our bodies have to work really hard. Our adrenals and our liver and our pancreas have to work really hard to try to stabilize the sugar. When we consume sugar, our pancreas sends out something called insulin, and it tells our cells to accept sugar. But here's the thing. When insulin is going all the time, it's sort of like white noise. If you've ever had white noise around you, like a fan running, after a little while, you quit noticing the sound of the fan. Well, it's the same in our bodies. After a little while, when insulin's on all the time, our cells kind of quit listening to it. That, and our cells can only accept so much sugar. And after we've consumed our max amount of sugar, this is called our carbohydrate tolerance level, things start going wacky because our body doesn't know what to do with it. So it turns it into triglycerides, it turns it into inflammation, and it turns it into all of these end products which are detrimental to our health. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over basically the diet that you can have. Once we go off carbohydrates completely for 21 days, and this is really important, we write down all the symptoms that we have that are wrong in our life. And over the next 21 days, we look to see how many of those symptoms start to go away. On that list, you cross that symptom out over the next 21 days. Say your anxiety lessens and you start sleeping through the night. Say you lose 10 pounds and all of a sudden you find that you're not belching constantly. These become the new check engine light. And after 21 days, we'll start to bring back in some carbohydrates. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you the max that we can go to before all these things come back. And so what I want you to focus on this week, the first week of the DNA reset, is just to cut out carbohydrates. And a lot of people don't know what this means, but it basically means cutting out all the man-made stuff. The pasta, the cookies, the cakes, the crackers, the chips, the desserts, the sodas. And we eat like our ancestors ate for 99.9% of our evolutionary past. We eat meat and vegetables. During this period, we do have to cut out fruit. I'm sorry. It's one of the first things we'll bring back, and I know I'm a fruit lover too, but we have to bring our stress hormones down to 0. You can look through the attachments, and we're going to have all the things that you can eat, and like I said, we're going to have recipes. But the first step is to just eat meat and vegetables. No excuses here. Meat and vegetables. The only vegetable that you're not allowed to have is potatoes and corn because they're too high in the carbohydrate list. But other than that, as many vegetables as you want. Sweet potatoes are even okay. And so, like I said, this is going to be a little bit hard for some of you. And over the next 7 days before you watch the next video, many of you are going to start feeling something called the carb flu. This is basically the body getting rid of an addiction. When your body's been burning sugar for months or years and it doesn't know how to burn another fuel, when you quit putting the sugar in, a lot of us feel kind of lousy for 3 to 5 days as our body reactivates the glucagon and we start burning fat. This is called carb flu. And a lot of you are going to feel pretty irritable and lousy, but I promise you, if you can get through this switching of how your body burns energy, then you're going to get a lot further in your care. And so this is the first step. This is the first step towards health. You cannot get healthy as long as you're poisoning yourself. And we all do it, but we have to get below this tolerance level. And so I congratulate you. I know this isn't easy, and I know that you have to have a really good reason for wanting to get healthy. You have to have that greater goal. So when you look at that donut, or you look at that pastry, and you say, no, I have a bigger reason than the short-term enjoyment I'm going to get from that treat. And so concentrate on that reason. Get through this next week. Get through the carb flu. Start letting your body burn fat for energy. Activate your good hormones. And I will see you next week. And we'll go over the next step. I congratulate you.